Welcome to Suladan Plays Hotel Nightmare. So first, just gonna say, I don't know whether that texture is supposed to be there or if I have somehow catastrophically broken it already before even starting. Don't know, gonna ignore it, gonna pretend that it's just supposed to be there. Two, there's a YouTuber mode button and I have no idea what that means, but I'm gonna click it. I may have just made things horrifyingly worse for myself, but there's a button, I don't know what it does, and therefore it must be poked. It's also possible that I just did something that I'll never notice. Oh, I don't know. This is a Hotel Nightmare. I know it's inspired by Imscared. That's the extent of my knowledge here. So we're just going to walk around and click everything. Mouse sensitivity is surprisingly a decent default value, and I don't mean that in the wrong way. This is very good. A lot of indie games I've seen start with a default value that's super high, so that me moving the mouse an inch makes me spin around 3 times. So it's very nice to see a game like this where the base mouse movement matches to my mouse sensitivity very well. I like that. Thank you, developer. I worry that your doors are just paintings, however. They're way too shiny. I've never seen a glossy plastic door before. So I think that door is a trap. It doesn't really exist, and it's oddly 1.5 doors wide. All reasons to not trust it. Also, I have very loud footsteps that sound like heartbeats. Who walks that loudly? I just walk quietly, I guess. How do I... Oh, E. Oh, let's try E on this. I was trying to click everything. Let us E everything. E, the vending machine. Nope. Wait, is that a candle vending? No. You know, I have no idea what that machine is vending. Grapes? Is there such a thing as a grape vending machine? Up, obviously. Why would you go down? You're already on floor 0. Going down might take you to horrifying places. You've stopped moving long ago. Can you just let me out? Just being weird now. That one sounded musical. They're all locked. The loud footsteps is slightly a concern for me. I would probably dampen that sound a little bit because it really sounds like you're aiming for a heartbeat. I mean, if that's what you're aiming for, then, you know, I guess that works too. But, yeah, that's just a little... It breaks the immersion a little bit for me just to hear the clomp, clomp, clomp. No, I'm not looking behind me. Why would you suggest that? Nope. I am recording. I will return your call later. As that is a ringtone I don't want to hear right now. Why would work be calling? Well, no, find out later. Anyway, you know what? I'm just gonna ignore the doors because they're clearly all locked. And that's a dead-end hallway, and all the lights just went out. Oh, hi, empty void in the distance. Well, I'm gonna go this way then. Nope, never mind, it just had to load. Hello, safe. Oh, that's right, E. Oh, don't be... Not fond of games that do the whole I don't like the games where you have to go deal with files on your computer. As an IT person, I'm paranoid when games want to mess with files like visibly and directly like that. Okay, so basically it opened this up. So at least I didn't have to hunt for the file. I've seen some games where you actively have to, like, if you don't have a guide, you're in trouble. You can only solve this if you didn't fail English class. The game doesn't know your real name, but it might know the username. Let's see, now that's just none of nobody's business what the username of my account be. You can only solve this if you didn't fail. Well, where do I put it? Reload the game. Okay, all the game is doing now is opening endless copies of that prompt. Yeah, it opened so many of them that it crashed the game. I don't like that. But it's not telling me where to put the password. Oh. I don't remember what... Okay, let's try this. That is the name on this account. Sure, why not? That'll work. Okay, now, what am I supposed to do with this? Why is just everything... Okay, let's try closing and opening it again. There we go. Okay. Oh, now you're back to doing this again? Okay. So a hammer and a key. We're just gonna keep trying that? Oh. Wow. Oh, okay. Gonna be honest, I love when games pull this non-Euclidean nonsense right here. It would be nicer though. Just one minor critique. Have the floor on that side and the floor on this side match so it doesn't wibble wobble quite as much. I mean, yes, it's very Portal-esque when it has the big difference in movement, but having them match just meshes together better. And see, I didn't drop down, so it, you know, slight little tweak with a big benefit to immersion and quality. So let's just continue to push forward into this strange and unknown hotel. I'm guessing I just, you know, repeat this process and other puzzles are gonna happen, but we'll see. If your puzzle breaks my computer, we won't be very unhappy. What? That's weird. Whatever, but that's weird. And bye. Reload the game. The reload the game bit is a little inconvenient. Okay, yeah, it wants the size of my hard drive, obviously. You know, that would be a lot easier, you know, hang on. If I had less than a terabyte hard drive, I could just look at it, but since I have more than a terabyte hard drive, I have to actually go in and ask. So it's not actually going to tell me in gigabytes, it tells me in terabytes. So are you using actual terabyte size, or are you using the rounded version? Also, are you using what the drive is advertised as, or is actual size? There's a lot of variance in a puzzle like this. Because technically it's a 2 terabyte hard drive, but what that means is it's a 1.81 terabyte hard drive, because when they sell storage media, you'll notice this with flash drives, if it's a 1 gig flash drive, and yes, that's a very tiny flash drive, but bear with me. If you look on the fine print on the back of it, it will say, you know, that it's 1 gigabyte with the assumption of one byte being 1000 bits or something to that effect instead of 1024, which is the actual number, which causes drives to be smaller than they're advertised as. So 2 terabytes could be 2000 gigabytes or 2048 gigabytes, but is he talking the size of the drive's the advertised size, or the size of its actual space? So 1 would be to type 2048. Nope. What about 2000? Nope. 1800. It was like, see, this is a puzzle that is inconvenient to me. I guess I just bring up a calculator and calculate it out from the bytes, because the hard drive properties aren't going to tell me how many gigabytes my hard drive is. 885 divided by 124, so that'll bring it into kilobytes, divided by 124 megabytes, divided by 124 gigabytes. Are we talking, are we rounding? Are we going with exact values? Can I put, well, it said gigabytes, so I'm assuming whole numbers. Whole numbers, truncated decimal, because it would have rounded up, but it did not. 1862.916988 yada 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 would have rounded up to 1863, but no, it just truncated, it dropped off the decimals, became 1862. I don't mind doing that, I'm a computer person, but this is something that could very much confuse somebody who is just, you know, playing games. I mean, of course, there is a walkthrough linked on the game's page, so at least there's that. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. That's some nonsense right there. I'm gonna go this way, because you expect me to go left. You know I always go left, so I'm going right. It's at that point that I look over and realize that every direction is left. Or that. Okay. Okay, so falling out of the game world is not what it wanted me to do. Well, who'da thunk it? I'm gonna go this way now, because I want to see what it does. Oh, it probably just slid up behind me when I wasn't looking, didn't it? This is weird. I mean, going backwards like this. Oh no, it just, right when I looked away is when it happened, obviously. Oh, I'm supposed to go through. Okay, game. Okay, I'll quit. Why did I find a screwdriver? So I have a hammer and a screwdriver now. There's a little bit of mouse twitchiness too. I noticed, hey, maybe a little motion blur, I don't know. You know, just to, I guess it does simulate kind of how objects move realistically. But yeah, what it wants me to do is see the flashing light, I guess, panic, and push my way through here, not realizing that I could just stand there. I'd like to see what's all this on the walls, but I guess I ain't. Ooh, a note. If you're reading this, you can't die. You're the chosen one, you've survived. You have to offer the game a big brain or it won't open the safe. Maybe you can make the file name brain.big and move it to the directory. The game might accept it. If you can't figure this out, Okay, it's not showing it on the recording, but in the top left corner of the screen, I don't know why it's not showing up. Like, the part of the game that it's on is in the recording, but it says, if you can't figure this out, check the game's page for a walkthrough or message me on Discord. Okay, that one's actually clever and amuses me. If I can get my mouse cursor out of the game, there we go. So what you're gonna want to do here is go into the games directory, which is opened for you every time it's popped up with the, you know, the password hint. New file. I guess we'll just make it a text document. Depending on how your system is set up, though, you may or may not be able to access the file type. So I'm just gonna go brain.big, which was originally a text file, but I replaced the .txt with .big. But there's a setting in the computer that I had to enable to allow me to do that, because generally it doesn't want, you know, the computer doesn't want you messing with file extensions. It generally doesn't want you messing with file extensions unless you know what you're doing, I mean, and it assumes, as do most, you know, machines, that you don't know what you're doing. Because it's easier to have the people that know what they're doing to kind of opt into knowing what. It's safer to put up a wall and say, you know, you have to know what you're doing to get past this wall. It's one reason when it comes to the cell phone, you know, rooting argument, I am big on the side of saying, let me root the system if I so want to. Okay, this right here is bothering. I don't get what's up with the weird staticky texture, because it's kind of inconvenient. Because I have to manually crash the game every time to close it, because for some reason I can't just close it. If I click the X, it won't close. Oh, I see. You've also messed with my desktop backgrounds, which I find offending. For some reason it looped me back here. It didn't specifically say close the game, so maybe I didn't need to close the game. Okay. Follow your own pattern. Every time previously you've made me close the game. Why is it this time you didn't need me to close the game? I do love this game, don't get me wrong. I'm just a little... I don't know. So we're just gonna go through here. It's an intriguing game. Okay, so now it just let me open it because I had the, you know, the big brain file in the game directory. Yeah, that right there, I don't know how to recommend you fix it. I mean, my suggestion would be, instead of making them flat, make them a large cube so that when they come in, they're still completely blocking the hallway, so to the player they appear to be a complete wall. Hi. I have... Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so when I went through there, it popped up with a box, like it was trying to load something. You know, not sure how I feel about that. Okay, now this time it's doing, so I'll just run it to spook 'em. Oh, well played. Having it vanish and then reappear was very jarring. Why would I go that way? Don't go that way. Oh, is it chasing me? Is it legitimately chasing me? Is it Naruto running at me? don't know how I feel about that. Also, I slightly wonder if YouTuber mode changed the music that it played with that. I don't know. I know sometimes that's a concern, especially for those that can monetize. Loud noise. Hotel Nightmare Unity something. Hotel Nightmare has stopped working. Hotel Nightmare goes... I would suggest your biggest vulnerability as a game in its current state is the fact that it crashes. Repeatedly. Especially during loudness. Because having to repeat the loudness is not pleasant. Hi. Yeah, that only works once, boyo. You cannot pull the same trick on me in the same spot, in the same timing, in the predictable manner. Repeatedly. I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. Floor 666. Why am I not surprised? Now I'm going back down. Okay, we've arrived. Oh, you're down here too? Hi. Is that the end of the game? One thing that is important, if you're gonna do this... Oh, there we go. Yeah, it says thanks for playing. I was gonna say, if you're gonna do stuff like this, you've got to make sure you let the player know when they've reached the end of the game, because if it just appears to crash, and they don't know whether the crash was real or not, it can be very confusing. But yes, that's apparently the end. Hotel Nightmare has stopped working. The game seems to be a little crash prone, but overall it's an entertaining experience. Still a little territorial about the fact that you messed with my desktop backgrounds. Like, it's pretty and all. I mean, it really is a beautiful, like, just background of trees and all. But I'm also paranoid about it when people change my backgrounds without asking. I really like that image though. So I'm on the fence there. Like, I wonder if that is that image. There it is. Yeah, that image is actually in the game files. I'm going to be keeping that as one of my backgrounds. I have multiple monitors, so I need multiple backgrounds. So yeah, let's see about getting that on screen. Yeah, that's a very pretty background. I'm going to be using that as one of my background images for a while. I like to cycle my images every now and then. It's nice, it's dark, it's got a good contrast. It'd be a very fitting background. So thank you for the beautiful background image. I will be using that. I don't mind that it did it. It's just in the back of my mind, there is a paranoia that I assume all IT people have of this game has messed with my system. Has it done anything? There's a territorialness around one's user settings. It's kind of like how one feels about their room. Let's say you have everything in your room where you like it. You know, your furniture's all where you want it, your TV's where you want it. You leave for the day and you come back and everything's been moved. Whether this is done in the most well-meaning of reasons, like, you know, maybe somebody thought that they would surprise you and rearrange your room. When you return home and find that your room has been rearranged, your hackles generally go up and you're like, you get aggravated, frustrated, territorial, whatever word you want to call it by, because your stuff has been messed with. Generally, you have this one safe haven in the world where nobody but you messes with it. For a lot of people, their computer, their cell phone, their piece of whatever favorite tech device or whatever most used tech device kind of falls into that category. So messing with their backgrounds, their sounds, the colors, where their icons are on screen, things like that can make them a bit paranoid, a bit bothered. It annoys and frustrates them. This, I will say, has been a good example of how to do this in a not bad. All of the file changes were contained within the game's directory. This is one thing I like. I don't want to have to hunt across my computer to find where, oh, it put a text file way over there. Two reasons. One, because it, to me, breaches where a game should reach. Like, say I'm playing Dark Souls, I shouldn't have to worry about it planting files off in some other thing's directory. Not counting game saves or things that have to be stored, but like just doing it for the sake of doing it. The other reason is if every game began to do it, then your system would eventually become littered with remnants of these games, and it's just like, from a development stance, it's not a good idea. But this one stayed contained to its own little thing, and it changed my desktop background. I'll take that. It's pretty. I like the desktop background, and it's possible that it did that because I set it to YouTuber mode. So I don't know which things the YouTuber mode button did, but this game did nice with it because of those two things. All the files it changed were within its directory, and all it did was change my background. I'm not now going to have to go fix my mouse pointer, my sound settings, my background, etc. I just fixed the background, and that takes all of a couple button pushes. So I do want to applaud you on your application of doing this. The sounds were all pretty on point. My only major complaints are a few times I opened the game and it got stuck with the just a kind of a random frame of the static animation, and I had to crash the game through Task Manager to get it to close, reopen it, and it would have a different static, and just keep doing that a couple times until the static wasn't there. Now, if that was an intended thing, great, it worked. If it wasn't an intended thing, which it didn't seem to be, might be something you need to look into. The portals, when you go through the cabinet, them down to floor level so that you're stepping through, or make it so when you step through, you visibly drop. Because as it is, you walk through and you're being, teleported down, you're not seeing that visible drop. But there was a floor height difference between both sides of the portal. So I would say either commit to having the player drop down when they step through, or have them line up with one another. Lining them up to me is more visually appealing because you can still see that the two spaces aren't connected because of the way the walls work, but it allows there to still feel like some level of continuity. But I would also be fine with stepping through it and dropping down. The two wall pieces that come together, I would suggest making them cubes so that when they come through, they're still blocking the hallway instead of just being the flat pieces that you can then see. And lastly, the crashing issue. I don't know what was loading there. I'm assuming it has to do with the sound effects or music that was being loaded in, but I don't know. Whatever it was doing, it caused the game to go to not responding and, had to be reopened. But overall, I enjoyed the game. I liked it. It intrigues me. I'd be curious to see it expanded into a larger experience, maybe with some explanations and lore and whatnot, but as it is, it's an interesting game. I think it has room for growth. You're showing a lot of potential, developer, and I appreciate the experience. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next game.